Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. The classic group The Fifth Dimension rocks Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis, Maryland this Sunday night. I spoke to founding member Florence LaRue about the group's Grammy-winning hits from Up, Up, and Away to Aquarius / Let the Sun Shine In, as well as their prominent role in Questlove's Oscar-winning documentary Summer of Soul about the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival. Hey, Florence, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in DC.
Yes, Jason, I'm looking forward to coming to Annapolis. You know, my sister lives in Maryland and Columbia, but she and her husband are on a trip to Iceland, so she won't be able to come to this show.
Oh, no way. I had no idea you had a local connection. Well, that's really, really cool. What's it like coming to a Fifth Dimension show these days? I assume you get audiences of all ages, you know, folks that grew up with the music and then probably pass it on to their kids.
Right. Well, we have mostly people who grew up with the music, and sometimes they bring along their children who reluctantly come. And then after the show, they say, hey, you guys were great. They weren't expecting to like their parents' music.
And then they become lifelong fans. Funny how it works. Well, it is
right.
It is of the time, but it is pretty timeless because, I mean, that Questlove documentary, Summer of Soul, that just won the Oscar about the, the 69 Harlem Cultural Festival. You guys were, Fifth Dimension was featured pretty prominently in there. What'd you make of the movie? Did you get to see it?
It was so honored to be a part of that. Yes, it was very special. That was a special time, and it was special to be in that particular documentary.
And just memories real quick of, not just the movie, but of the actual 69 Harlem Cultural Festival. What was it like getting to perform in such an atmosphere?
It was great, Jason, being among so many wonderful performers, the young Stevie Wonder. And unfortunately, though, we didn't get to talk with many of the performers because we were performing elsewhere. So we had to do our show and then, and then perform for the festival and then leave. But it was just an honor to be there. It was great. There were so many people there, and not one incident of fussing or fighting. It was just a really loving, peaceful event.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm glad that Questlove was able to include so much great footage of not only you all, but all of the different acts. You're all frozen in time there together on screen now. It was a great piece of work.
Right.
Well, whenever I have someone like yourself on, I always love to hear sort of how you got into to begin with. I know you were born in New Jersey, but so how did you make your way to Los Angeles, where you end up meeting the band members?
Actually, I was raised in Pennsylvania, born in New Jersey, but raised in Pennsylvania. And my family went to California when I was graduated from high school, partly because of the weather, because my grandmother fell and hurt herself on the ice. So she lived with us, and my mom said, we're going to California. Also, I wanted to be in the movies. I didn't know how to go about being in the movies, so friends entered me into beauty contests, hoping to be discovered. And after I got my teaching credential, I won quite a few contests. I was blessed. I was Miss Valverde, Miss Coppertone, Miss this and Miss that. But the year I was in the Miss Bronze California contest, I won the talent. And a young man who was a photographer for the contest said, I have this group, and one of the girls left because nothing's happening with the groups. I said, no, I don't want to. First of all, I'm not a singer. I'm an actress, and I also have my degree for teaching. And I won't have time to be part of a group. And I was working full time. And, but he persisted, and that man was Lamont McLemore, and that's how I got Fifth Dimension.
That is awesome. And in the beginning, it wasn't called Fifth Dimension, right? Wasn't it the Versatiles or something? But you changed it pretty quickly.
It was called the Versatiles because we had 5 very versatile singers. We had people who did almost light opera, R&B, and pop. And however, our manager said, you know what, we need something more hip, a name that's better. So we thought of all different types of names of Mark V because our manager, who I ended up marrying, his name was Mark. But Ron Townsend thought of the Fifth Dimension. We liked that because there was no Fifth Dimension. So the Fifth Dimension was, number one, our sound, and also there were 5 of us.
Yeah, it worked out. And you know, it's even the name sort of sets the tone for your sound and what you would come to represent in music, you know, because we know two-dimension, three-dimensional objects. I guess fourth dimension is what? Time maybe. Then fifth dimension is this mind-blowing, extra transcendent plane of existence, I guess. And that's your music.
Right.
Awesome. Well, you kind of get the, I guess the big breakthrough song and album was you know, you won that Grammy for Record of the Year with Up Up and Away. It's sort of like a hot air balloon sort of theme. Jimmy Webb wrote that, I believe. But what was it like putting that one together? You know, any good stories of being in the studio recording that one?
Well, we enjoyed working with Jimmy because he was so creative, and we all would get together, and sometimes we would throw in our ideas. But actually, Mark, who was our manager, was also managing Jimmy Webb, and he introduced us because at the time Motown music was very popular, so we were singing R&B in our rehearsals. But Mark introduced us to Jimmy and redirected our vocals to more of a pop sound. We were some of the first crossover groups.
Oh yeah, well, and all your fans are glad that you made that sort of switch. And so Jimmy Webb, you know, a songwriting legend on his own, pop, country, all kinds of stuff. But also, in terms of your earlier stuff, Laura Nyro wrote a lot of hits for you: Stone Cold Picnic, Sweet Blindness. I think my favorite of the ones that she wrote for y'all was Wedding Bell Blues with that "Kisses and Love Won't Carry Me Till You Marry Me." Bill, poor Bill's getting yelled at in that song. But any memories of working with Laura on those songs, particularly Wedding Bell Blues, because I love that one.
Actually, we didn't work with Laura. We did have an opportunity to meet her, but we worked with Bones Howe, who was our record producer, and we worked with him as far as recording the song.
Gotcha. Well, why do you think Wedding Bell Blues and Bill and that whole storytelling, why do you think that song connected with people so much? I guess people could relate.
Oh, it's a fun song. You know, they could relate to the lyrics, and we've met a lot of women whose husbands are named Bill, and they laugh and said they played that for them.
That's so great. And then you also worked with, I guess, Burt Bacharach and Hal Davis wrote One Less Bell to Answer for you. I mean, that's a legendary songwriting team right there. But any stories of how that song came together?
Well, most of our music, Jason, came from Bones Howe, who was our record producer, because we wouldn't have chosen that type of music because we weren't aware of it. But Bones brought us those songs. We didn't work with Hal, David, and Burt Bacharach, but we worked with Bones, and Bob Alcivar was our arranger.
Yeah, well, it's a great song. And then, of course, we can't go through all of them, but my listeners would kill me if I don't mention the big one, the career one everyone remembers you from, the one Record of the Year. Again, you won it again for Aquarius / Let the Sunshine In, that little medley. Was it originally written for the musical Hair, and then you all made it even more famous? Is that right?
I always say that God gave us a miracle with that song. We were performing in New York City at the Americana Hotel, and one of the gentlemen lost his wallet, and someone found it, and he found it in a taxi, and he brought it to the show and gave it to Billy, who lost it, and we thanked him and invited him to the show. Then he invited us to his show. Well, that gentleman was one of the producers of Hair, and that's how we first heard Aquarius, and we just fell in love with the song right away. We suggested to Bones, and he says, "Oh, well, it's a good song, but it's already been recorded, so I don't think so." Then he came back to us with the idea of putting Aquarius with Let the Sun Shine In, which we did, thank goodness, and it became a hit for us.
Oh, it worked out beautifully. If you could, we've got
Yeah.
a lot of good stories about, the making of these songs and Bones and all that kind of stuff. But break down the two parts of that for me, Aquarius and Let the Sunshine In. Break them down, one at a time, like musically, like the musicality of it. So like that first part, Aquarius, when the moon is in the seventh house, like it really sets this hypnotic tone. But just talk about that first part of Aquarius and why that one is so intoxicating.
Well, we liked the song because it spoke of peace and harmony. In the play, it's more about astrology. Well, being Christians, we're not into astrology. As I said before, we liked it because of the melody and because it spoke of something positive and hope. Let the Sunshine In was just once again, a positive song. Being a Christian, I also related to not only let the SUN shine in, but let the SON shine in. So it's very special to me.
Ah, look at there. Let the son of the father. And I got you. I see where you're going with that. Nice. Well, it works,
Yeah.
like you're saying it. The age of Aquarius was sort of like you're saying it was all astrological, entering into this age of love, light, humanity, whatever. But you all put sort of your own personal Christian spin on it. So that's really cool. That's a really cool tidbit. I appreciate you sharing that one. Awesome. Well, maybe younger folks probably first heard the song at the end of the Steve Carell movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. What did you happen to see
Right,
that?
but I did, but it was also in Forrest Gump.
It was in Forrest Gump. You're right. Such a great movie. But when you see it show up in a movie like that, or you see Steve Carell singing it in 40 Year Old Virgin, like what do you think when you're looking at the screen and you see your music coming back decades later? Is it like, wow? I mean, you have no idea it would still be played in songs and or movies for that long.
I'm just so proud that the Fifth Dimension is a family-oriented group and performing music that lasts so long and that really is enjoyed by people of all races, of all nationalities, of all religions. It's positive music that brings people together, and I'm very proud of that.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned real quick before we run, you mentioned that you originally had dreams of being, an actress and stuff, and you got to do that a little bit. I know you're in, a TV movie, Happy, I guess Dom DeLuise. You did some stage acting and Ain't Misbehaving, the national tour of that Broadway show. Was it cool getting to finally live out that dream? You kind of took a long, unexpected detour into this great music stuff, but you still got to do a little of the acting that you originally wanted to do. Was that cool?
Well, I'm not finished yet. I also starred in 2 musicals in Canada, and it really showed me that live musicals are really my favorite thing to do. But I do hope to do some acting, and also I do hope to use what I learned getting my teaching credential by lecturing and speaking. I wrote a book. I have a book out. It's called Grace in Your Second Act, and it's about aging gracefully, mentally, physically, and spiritually. You can get it on Amazon, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very excited that I had the chance to write something like that and to give hope to people, especially to our seniors, who many times are left in nursing homes and forgotten. But it's for men and women and young and old. It's for the younger people to remember, prepare for your senior years, which I call your second act, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Taking care of yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. I guess bring it full circle back around to Ram's Head in Annapolis, the Fifth Dimension, the show on Sunday. Pretend I'm not even here. You're speaking directly to our listeners. Hey, tell everyone, hey, come on out, everyone. You're going to have a good time.
Oh, come on down. We're looking forward to seeing you at Ram's Head. We know that we'll sing your favorite Fifth Dimension song just as you heard it back in the 60s and 70s. And something new for you young people. So come on out to Ram's Head Sunday. I hope that you'll come, Jason. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I say that because when people know the group's been together 50 years, they're usually very surprised at the energy that we have. Well, I'm the only one actually who's been with the group 50 years. The others are much younger, but I'm proud that it's a family-oriented show, and you're all going to enjoy it.
Oh, definitely. Hey, you know what? You mentioned the 50-year run. When you all finally hang it up, years and years from now, how would you want Fifth Dimension to be, remembered amidst all the other great bands of that era or of any era? But, what do you think would make you stand out? How would you want the group to be remembered?
Well, actually, I'm the only one who's been there for 50 years. I'm the only original. And I hope that we'll be remembered as a group that helped to bring peace, hope, and happiness, particularly in a time that's been very difficult for a lot of people with the pandemic. Music is really very healing.
It really is. So come on out and get healed at the Ram's Head on Sunday. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. I'm glad we got to talk, and I look forward to seeing you Sunday.
All right. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.